Hey, good morning. I was cleaning out the studio today, and I came across some. Let me show you. I don't know if you know what this is, but this is my first one of my first cameras I used professionally back in the '80s. It's an old Nikon F. Now, what's really unique, and not really unique, but kind of funny, is you can't look at the back and see what is on the film. That's how we used to have to do it back then. This one's pretty unique because it's got, take the back off, you roll your film through here, and it's got the shutter that releases so you can take the picture. Yeah, this still operates, still runs, it'll still work. If I ever decided to shoot film again. But this camera here, I can remember walking outside of the Kingdom in Seattle, trying to go around to get in, and a security guard opening up a door and going, "Hey, come on in here." Yeah, this camera with a couple long lenses got my first shots of the Seahawks back then. Now, this is an old film camera that it's a Minolta I shot, mostly Canon and Nikon. This is an old friend of mine had this as a Minolta. They made some really good glass back then, so a lot of times I'll use this old glass for videos. It gives a unique kind of a look. They all have a characteristic that works out real well. Now, I started out with an Argus camera, an old camera. I went from that in probably about 79 to a Canon F1 with some long FD lenses. Nice camera, but early on in the 80s, Canon switched to the EOS system and quit supporting the old lenses. They changed the mount completely. So here I am sitting on all this equipment with no way to have it serviced or buy new stuff for it. So I went back to Nikon, which even today I can take lenses out of this and put in my digital Nikons, and they still fit. Great camera. It's been a lot of places with me. This camera, senior portraits. I know they don't have them like they all over the place like we do here, but when you become a senior, you get this thing called senior portraits. So I was trying to think of a way to make a little bit of cash at this. So what I did is my daughter had two friends in high school. So I went and I got them. I said, "Hey, I'd like to shoot your senior portraits, talk to their parents. I want to do it in San Francisco. I'll pay your guys' food. We'll go down there." One of the parents had to go with them. I took these two girls down to San Francisco and their parents, and we shot them on the trolley cars, on Lombard Road, the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, all over the city. I even hired makeup artists to do their makeup, and they brought changes of clothes. Now, I took these photos, and the parents loved them. And I think I made probably $300 off of each one having them made. But what I did is I made them a book with all their pictures in it, and I gave it to them. I said, what I want you to do is next year I'm going to do the same thing. And it's going to be not a contest, but a limited edition. And I'll take people from the school and I'll go and do this. We made posters and hung them up. And these girls went back with these books and showed everybody. The next year, I must have had 10 girls sign up. And I went out with the 10 girls and their parents. I paid for a hotel room. I paid for the dinner for that night. Hired makeup artists. We went through the whole rigmarole of the trolley cars, Lombard Street, downtown, the Golden Gate Bridge. I must have did about, I don't know, $700 or $800 a kid off that. Now we fast forward to, they made those little iPod touches, and I would go, and now I've got 25 girls going every year. And at the end, instead of the book, I give them the little iPod touch, and it's got all their pictures on it. And my name, my studio is etched in the back, and I gave it to them. Well, these girls would run back to the school, show everybody, hey, I got this. So the next year from that high school, I got 25. I got a couple other girls from another high school and did the same thing I did with these girls. I got 25 out of that school. Now we got 50 going. 2 different weekends. It all goes great. It's all perfect. Now we're in the 90s. Now I do it with an iPad. And what I do is I get a little iPad mini. My name's etched in the back. The girls have their pictures. Boom, boom here. They run back. They show everybody. But now I have 5 schools that I get about 25 girls each. So I had to hire other photographers. That was the birth of Studio L7. That's when it all finally came together. And we started it. And that all started with this camera right here. This old archaic camera. It's got a ton of memories. This camera's also been to Hawaii with me 3 or 4 times. It's been to Mexico with me 3 or 4 times. Well, 4 times. And it's been out of the country of other Canada, Ireland, Spain, at least twice in each one. This camera's been around. Now, in the early 90s, mid 90s, I changed to a twin lens reflex camera. Not a Hasselblad, not a single lens, no metering. So there's no electronics to it. And that's the reason why I use that camera, because there's no electronics. It's a bellows lens camera for close focus. And all manual. Just a box with a lens. To get the right metering, I would use one of these. Yeah, well, not exactly like this. This is pretty advanced. This right here, this is a light meter. This is the one I use now. This is a light meter. What this does, and the cameras that you see people use, it meters light, but it meters reflective light. So any light, the light that's reflecting back to the camera. So what that does is if somebody walks in with a white t-shirt on, it changes the exposure. This is an incident light meter. So whatever I take a meter reading with, that's the light falling on the subject. So if I'm controlling the lights, that never changes. You hardly see anybody using these anymore, but I still use them today. This one's kind of like a cell phone. It does everything. I think I can call my mom on it if I had to. But yeah, this is a very crucial part of my equipment that I use all the time. I talked about in a video before about a kid in high school, about how he had all the money. This is the camera that I use to take that picture. Like I said, I still use it today, but nobody uses film. Another thing we used to do is, in the 90s, the mountain bike scene really took off. People were spending thousands of dollars doing these mountain bikes. So I went, So I would go up and get a roster of the mountain bikes that have the number for the races. It'd have the number and the name. I'd take a buddy with me or an assistant. I'd go up and find a good place to sit where they're jumping and stuff. Sit underneath there with a camera, get shots of them. Now remember, this is with film. Take that roll of film out, throw it to my buddy. He'd run down to the 1 hour, have them printed into 5x7s. I would slap another roll of film in, keep taking pictures. He'd get back, run down, have the next roll set, and we'd set them up on the car down where they set the bikes up. They'd come by and look at them. Cost us about $1.50 to print it. Sold them for $10 a piece. Something else we used to do. It was pretty fun. You can do the same thing with horse shows, car shows, car races. I don't know, now it's kind of difficult because of digital. But yeah, those are good times. We used to have a blast doing things like this. When we first started, we would go into apartment complexes. Tell the apartment complex, we want to offer everybody in your complex a free 8x10 portrait, family portrait. And one of the lucky families will get $50 off next month's rent. We want to shoot it all in your clubhouse. We'll make the flyer saying that this is a gift from you, the management. Oh, they'd go crazy. They'd go super crazy. They go, yeah, no problem. We'd hire a couple of kids for $10 to run around, put flyers on all the doors, show up on a Saturday, take the pictures of the families, come back the next Saturday with the 10x13s and a bunch of other pictures already made up, and they would buy most of them. They'd probably buy about a $30 to $40 average. Cost us $6 to make the bag. That was That was fun. A lot of hustling when you're a photographer back then. Then the internet comes along. Now, most of my work is commercial. Most time back then, freelance. So back then, before the internet, we would have portfolios in a folio case. It's like a big briefcase. That's a 16 by 20, 24 by 30, big ones. I even took an old Anvil music case and matted some prints and would slide them down in there so they would be matted, and big 16 by 20 prints, 24-inch prints, so I could take them and show them. But anyways, make these folio cases with all these prints in them. We would ship them out to magazines, book companies, publishing companies, and see if they wanted to buy them. And what you would do is somebody would hook up with somebody and go, hey, we like these pictures you have of El Capitan. They would buy them for us. They would license them for us. And back then, they would license them for, okay, we're going to run it in a publication, half page, probably 150, 200 bucks. 2,500 publications for a year. That's how it worked. Then the internet comes along. Now, well, back then I'd have to ship this portfolio by snail mail to the magazines, to the publishing companies. They would look at them. It'd take 3 or 4 days to get there. Take them a month to look at them. Then 2 or 3 weeks to send them back. Then they would buy them and I would ship them what they needed. The negatives for them to license. The prints. Now, we don't make money licensing something like that anymore. Take a picture, a video clip. I put it on a site. These companies scroll through and they find these clips and they go, oh, hey, I like that one. They buy it for a couple dollars now. When the internet came along, a lot of guys that were in my genre of shooting quit doing stock. It's called stock photography. Because there was no money in it. I kind of embraced it. I said, okay. So let's say, for instance, okay, I shoot a 60-second video clip of some ducks in the water. If I load that on my site, over the next year, I'll make $5 off that one video clip. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I have any video clip I put on there, I'll make $5 a year off of, at a minimum. Where it works out is that I have 20,000 clips on there. Now, if you do the math, $1 for 20,000 clips a year is $20,000. $5, that's $100,000. It's how you have to work the system. There's ways you do the same with pictures too. A little less, you might make 99 cents. But if you got enough on there, hey, you can still make a living at it. Well, that's it for now. Have a good one.